Darlene, do you want that sent to the subsea list or the cruise list?
Probably doesn't matter. Might as well send it to the big one. Thank you.
So which one's
The subsea.
subsea? Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
Thanks, Samantha.
Even though we're in mode 1?
Oh, stand by.
Okay.
Just ship. Ship.
Why don't I?
Thanks.
Okay.
Ship only. True. Yeah. Good catch, you guys. Thank goodness. It takes a village to remember things at the 4 to 8 shift.
We're almost there. 7:38.
Yeah. Wow. We got to find some tube worms before we go.
Yeah.
There's a very large anemone or something. Right there. Do we have time to zoom in? Is that? Greg, do you think, what depth do you think the bottom of your field of view is at? Sorry, I can't hear you.
I would do 2718.
That's your estimate? Okay. Thank you.
Video, let's go ahead and push in. Video, let's go ahead and push in.
Pushing in.
Is that driftwood? Yeah. Piece of wood.
Bring the iris down, down.
All right, thank you, Wayne. Let's come full wide.
Come in full wide. Full wide.
Well, 48 team, we are 18 minutes off from wrapping up, and we've got a ton of
Don't
people.
get me excited like that.
I know, sorry.
15 minutes.
15 minutes, 18 minutes. Almost there. Before we head out to breakfast, and just wanted to thank all the folks who have joined us for the beginning of this dive and this exploration. We've got folks tuning in from Texas, Alabama, Western Mass, Romania, South Carolina, all over the world. Still from New Zealand, Wisconsin, so we appreciate you all sticking with us. And do continue to send in your questions. We've got this dive running until...
Are you getting tugged by me?
Oop.
Yeah, you are.
This dive running until
Okay.
9 p.m. Pacific today. So we'll have another quite a long day on the bottom, and then start coming up again for a 2 to 3 hour ascent to the surface.
Yeah, I'm coming back a little bit. They can re-explore. It'll be new to them. No, the truth is my vertical requires caution. The numbers all look good. Subsea bias. Oh, high resting. That's really annoying.
It's just concerning.
Coming up. Super fast.
At 100%. Full
Yep.
tilt.
Full tilt.
Give her the beans.
Turbo mode engaged.
Give her the beans. Just keep giving her.
Only one of us is on SPL.
I know. I'm no dummy.
Very heavy. We already dropped a plate.
Starlene, watch lead. I'm just going to go off comms and transition with Nicole, who's coming on.
So for the folks at home, we will be hearing some of our current watch team leaving the van and the new watch team coming on. So you'll start hearing new voices, and we're going to be starting those handovers right now. So we're all going to be switching off as our replacements come up, and we can go down to breakfast. But we will be diving all the way until 9 p.m. Pacific tonight. So lots of time to explore with us. While you're waiting for us to switch our teams and get back to exploring, be sure to check out our expedition page at nautiluslive.org. If you click the expedition button, you can see summaries for all of our expeditions this year, and then click in and actually see more of an archive of information, including summaries, who's on the team, and what kind of things we're seeing, and a more detailed summary of the expedition itself. So stay tuned, keep sending in questions, and we'll be exploring all day.
All right, good morning everyone. Welcome back on SPL. If you've just been watching for a few minutes, things have just gone quiet as we're having a shift change here between the 4 till 8 crew and the 8 till 12 watch. My name is John Willis. I'm a Science Communication Fellow. I'm just starting the 8 till 12 watch. So that's why Hercules is just hanging tight for the moment as the ROV pilots just communicate with each other as they do the watch changeover. They're just exchanging information, letting each other know where they are and what the priorities are. And then just in a few minutes from now, we'll start exploring again. So it looks like on Nautilus Live Channel 1, the ROV pilots are just getting a tour of the front porch of Hercules, just seeing what we've got on board and what's ready to deploy. On Nautilus Live Channel 2, you can see Argus's view of Hercules, just hovering over the sea cliff site on the edge of the Gorda Ridge. And then Nautilus Live bottom left of the quad view, you can just see the view into the control room, see where we're working, what we're doing at the moment. This is just a nice opportunity to tell you guys watching where we are in the world. We're about 300 kilometers off the coast of North America, just at the border between California and Oregon. We are, in terms of the oceanography underneath us, we're just at the junction between the Gorda Plate and the Pacific Plate, exploring the mid-ocean ridge system called Gorda Ridge. This is actually our very first dive of this cruise. We've had a few delays on the way, but we're all pretty excited to actually be on site and exploring.
What are you looking at?
That's a really bright light.
So as I said, we're just getting started on our watch tasks here as the 8 till 12 watch starts their operations.
I think we're just waiting for the last handoff and then we can get started along our way. Might be useful as we make the first ship move to just have everybody give a little update on the status of their position.
Might just try a blind stab on this plate.
Yep.
Roger. Roger. Sounds good. Good.
So just a quick message to those of you watching on nautiluslive.org. We appreciate all the questions and the encouragement we're getting. We know you guys are excited as we are to be starting our dive operations here. Just as we do this handover here, we're letting people get settled in their positions, so we might not have time to go through some of your questions you're posting online at the moment, but rest assured we'll try and get to them. But we're just going to spend a few minutes here making sure we get everybody on the same page.
Roger.
All right, I think we've finished the handoffs. Maybe it would be a good time to just have everybody go around, say your name and position.
Sure.
So I could start. Nicole Reno, the watch lead.
This is Megan Lubekin on data.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Hi, this is Erin Malik, social scientist, NASA Subsea.
We're not able to hear you, Chief Sai.
Erin, we couldn't hear you there.
Hi, this is Erin Malik. I'm a social scientist with Subsea.
Yeah, it's not going to be.
Hi, this is Amy Smith. I'm a microbiologist with Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution.
This is Alex Wong, navigator.
This is Jessica Sandoval, Argus and Herc. Herc this watch.
Mm-hmm.
Josh Chernoff sitting Argus seat.
Sarah Matisic, video engineer.
Hi, and I'm John Willis. I'm in the science communication seat.
Great. So I think the next thing we should do is probably just status update. From my side, we are at waypoint 2. We're trying to locate the vent field. So we're in the right depth range right now, which is 1710 to 1720. So we want to continue along a northeasterly course and hopefully locate the vents on our way towards waypoint 3. Josh, what do you guys have going on with the vehicles?
The vehicles are, Herc is a little bit heavy. And so we are we're taking an attempt at trying to get a little bit of weight off, but it's not going to work. So we'll wait till we get rid of the microbial experiments. So we'll be a little bit dusty probably when we get near the bottom, because we are having to thrust down to keep the vehicle up off the bottom a little bit. So till we drop off those experiments and then maybe even close the drawer, we might be able to get that second plate out. We just can't quite reach it because the porch, we have our larger porch on, and we can't quite close the drawer because of the experiment, so can't quite reach that spot.
Once we locate these first vent sites, I think we could decide if it's really impeding our ability to see the rest of to mark the perimeter of the site to deploy the experiments, if Amy agrees that there's a good site that we come across. So that might be an option. We just need visual contact with the seafloor right now, so if you need to fly a little bit higher, we're looking for the cues of the chimneys and the two berms and whatnot.
Okay.
And then I guess with that, Alex, do you have any updates from navigation?
No updates.
Okay, so I think what we'd like to do then is get the ship moving, Josh, if you're ready to do the first move to the northeast.
Yep.
I'm ready.
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right, let's go.
So do you want to look, we're going to be following, I think, to waypoint 2 here, so
we're trying to get towards 3 and just staying within this depth range of 1710 to 1720. So we're smack dab in the middle of that right now. If we could have Herc do some, wiggling to look around between those depths, that would be great.
Roger,
because we don't want to miss the site.
Wiggling between depths, that sounds good. So we'll kind of get like a general bearing. Yep, so that's to waypoint 3.
Yeah, Alexander, could you zoom out one, or just so we could see where waypoint 3 is? Should be to the north east. It should be a little north of 4.
There you go.
Maybe a little further north even still.
Sure. Try looking up a little bit that way towards north.
Oh, we see where it is now.
So Nicole, am I right in remembering that it's been about a decade or more since people have actually visited these sites?
Yeah, that's right. I think 2005, 2006 were the last times people have been here. And there have been some studies published on the sites, and they think they're relatively stable from the last 2 decades that they've been studied. So that's what we're going to hopefully find out pretty early on, whether that's true, whether there's still the chimneys and venting and the temperature of those chimneys, whether that's stayed relatively consistent.
Thank you.
Perfect, Alex. So yeah, if we could just start towards, on a bearing towards that, we should be in good shape.
Yep, so you can kind of give a good trajectory here, and then we can get a general bearing, and then we might not go directly to waypoint 3. I think they want to just head in that general northeast area. I would just kind of try as best you can to hit that waypoint. It looks like we're going to be paralleling most of these contours.
Yeah, we definitely want to keep in mind the depth range more than the waypoint itself, Alex. So so we could just do some small ship moves, 20 meter, 25 meter ship moves maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, so let's think about give us a general estimation as to which way we're going. So you can kind of, you can take your cursor over here. So this depth contour that we're at right now, I think they want to stay kind of in this range that we're at. So right now we're at about 2715 or so. So as long as we're around that depth contour, that's where they want to see these features. That's correct, Nicole. Yes, 2715 about would be a good average for the depth.
Yes, that sounds great. Yeah, and since the contours run roughly north, right, on this map, we could try a northerly move.
20 meters at 000.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Bridge nav. Can I get 20 meters at 000?
And because we're pretty deep right now, once Argus starts to move, it'll take a few minutes for Argus to move. Once Argus starts to move, then we'll kind of keep on calling in ship moves so that we don't lose that momentum. And we can correct our course a little bit, but always kind of using that momentum in order to kind of stay ahead of kind of Argus settling down, because that will take a bit longer for us to get moving again.
Yeah, that's a great description, Jess. Everything's going to move so much slower at this depth than it did for the other cruise that Alex was on, where we were in 100 meters.
So I would have your next move kind of in mind, even now. So it looks like we can probably just, go like 0, 0 or 0, 1, 5.
Should I follow the contour up here and then go in perpendicular?
Yeah, it sounds like they care more about the depth than they do about the actual waypoint 3. So as long as that's consistent with a 2715 depth, then that should be good.
Yep, that sounds right. And then the vehicles, once they get a little bit of tether and ability to maneuver, they'll start doing a little bit of a search up and down those contours as they're able to. It's fairly steep here.
Roger. Turn off my auto heading then.
So for those of you watching on Nautilus Live, it'd be good to kind of give you a sense of where we are on the seafloor, what the challenges of this location are. So we're basically working on the sides of a steep sea cliff that form the edges of a marine trench, a rift valley, that its maximum depth at the bottom is about 3 kilometers, and we're about 300 meters up on one of the sides of this rift valley, looking for the site of what are called the sea cliff hydrothermal vent systems. So we have a few waypoints that mark the approximate location from a previous expedition about 13 years ago. But really what we have to do is go to these waypoints, and then we have a pretty precise depth contour that we're going to work along. And so we're just working along the cliffs, looking to see whether we can find these vents.
Sorry, was there a question? Oh, perfect.
So now it's going to be about an equivalent of a 40-meter swing with some delay in it. I'll let those settle out a little bit. Once we notice the vehicle start moving, then we'll call it another one.
So the voices you can hear at the moment are the Hercules pilot, Jessica, and navigator, Alex. They are just coordinating the ship moves to basically tow Argus slightly along the cliffs of each section, with Hercules following. And
sorry, don't turn on your auto.
All right. Oh wait, Roger. So, octane's not on. Let's start. Oh, no worries.
So it's like a little shuffle dance. You've got the Nautilus moves on the surface, then that tows Hercules along the cliff face boundary, and then Hercules follows. That's the kind of little shuffle we're doing at the moment.
So Alex, you'll notice when Argus starts to swing, you can if you keep track in the Argus cam over there, You can kind of keep track as to when the vehicles are starting to move. And we can generally tell you too as to when, but if you keep an eye on it. So I'm over here on the screen. If I stay stationary over there, you should see me start to be almost laterally moving without any thrust. Which cam was that, Josh?
It's the, well, it's either the starboard bio or port rail.
Roger.
Is this our,
No, it's that one over there.
so we're doing our defects too?
Yeah. Hi, fish.
Jess, are you able to move up or down a little bit to just look at the slope here?
Sure. Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, cool.
Oh, okay.
And like I said, you could be far off of it as long as we can see. That'll help us have a slightly wider field of vision so that if there is something, if the vents do come into sight, hopefully we'll be able to see them.
Okay. I'm going to thrust up and see what this feature is up here.
So once we actually find the vents on the Seacliff site, the overall focus of this dive is it's a busy one. We're essentially going to be looking at some of the geochemical properties of the water coming out of these vents. That's something you can see on the front porch of Hercules at the moment. You can see the what's called an IGT, an isobaric gas trap, that's designed to capture vent fluid while also preserving the dissolved gases. So that's the geochemistry of the vents. And we'll also be taking samples of the vent water, mainly at lower temperatures, actually pumping it through a system that captures any bacteria in the vent fluid in a filter system, and then we'll be bringing those filters back to the surface at the end of the dive and seeing if we can learn about the microbial communities in the vents. So hopefully once we find the vents, we've got a lot of fun activities to look forward to. At the moment, it's just kind of a patient, step-by-step working along the this cliff edge. So that's right, we've got a couple of questions on Nautilus Live, and you're actually looking at the side of a submarine cliff at the moment, not the actual seafloor itself. So imagine you're on the edge of a steep valley and you're working your way along it just bit by bit, following the same depth contour. And that's what we're doing right now.
All right, Nicole, that was my full thrust up, so we can look a little down first.
Sure, yeah.
That's an easier one to get to.
In this area, it looks from the track line like they may have already come up this area a little bit, but let's leave no area unlooked at between these contours until we find our first sign of the vents.
Roger.
The sign of the vents will be just kind of wavy looking water, right?
We should see tube worms on the very periphery, so we're looking for sort of the vent tube worm communities, and that might be our first indication. And then there should be some chimneys. We're hoping that these white, maybe no bigger than a meter tall chimneys will be at the most focused vent sites.
All right, now I think we can do call another move. It looks like we're starting to see a swing in Argus a little bit.
Sounds good. Bridge to nav. Bridge to nav, I mean. Can you get one more step, please?
So our goal for our watch is to mark the perimeter of the vent field once we identify it. There may be some blue ciliate mats associated with the vents as well. But as we go along and find the vents, we'll have Alex drop some markers in high pack for chimneys and then diffuse flow. And then we'll drop the virtual markers on the perimeter in high pack and pretty much get set up to do some temperature probes potentially if we have time after we've marked the field and then leave it to the next group to maybe deploy the experiments. And then do seafloor mapping with the Hercules.
So when you say drop a marker, Nicole, is that a high visibility physical marker we're actually going to put on the seafloor?
Right now for this dive, it's just the virtual markers in HYPACK. We may come across some physical markers that the MBARI group has left at the site, and if we do, we'll make note of that. I think the navigation screen actually shows where those markers are expected to be, but we'll update those if they're different. But yeah, they're letters T, H.
These two right here.
Yep.
Sorry, I'm giving you a tug.
So I think Alex is going to be very busy on this dive in particular, getting us keeping us moving along.
Uh-huh.
He sets the pace.
All right, I'm going to come back up because that was about 2730 depth down there. Oh. Sorry, I'm getting too far ahead of Argus here.
Are you guys finding the USBL tracking to be accurate right now?
No, we could probably do a reset on that.
I'm just curious. That's what I've been looking at, but
yeah, it's kind of jumping around that one spot.
Yeah.
It's like 20-meter jumps there. You can kind of see each of these targets here. So the way that it's updating is the position's a little bit off. You can update the position if you want to. Let me know if you want to do that. So you kind of look for the most, sorry?
Using cursor?
Yeah, so you kind of look for the most accurate position, the one that's more consistent, and then you update that as your current position. Sorry, Nicole, I'm just giving Argus a bit of a tug.
Okay.
Reset DVL here?
Yeah, once you find a spot that it keeps coming back to, then yeah, it looks like the average of all of them. Oh, sorry, Josh.
That's right.
Got 2 ahead of myself.
Calling another step?
Yeah, we'll keep the
that'd be
ship
great.
moving.
Bridge nav? Yeah, one more step, please.
What's your bearing on there, Alex?
Ship bearing?
Yeah.
Ship bearing is at...
Was it 000?
That's what we've been doing, yeah.
Because I want to go along the contours a bit.
Right. Okay.
So,
yep. We're just, it seems like we're just kind of getting pulled a little bit away from the wall.
Yeah.
So you could do your next step a little bit more, like maybe like 020.
Okay.
Why don't you call that one in now, just so we can get things moving a little closer to the wall.
Got it. Bridge nav?
Just do a bearing change.
Can I get a bearing change to 020?
So that sequence of commands you can hear
Bearing.
Bearing.
is essentially the ROV pilots and the navigator working together with the bridge. And we're basically taking 20-meter steps each time we move the ship along the edge of the depth contour on this portion of the sea cliff, just giving Hercules the opportunity to just do this visual scan you can see at the moment, where we are essentially looking for any sign of the hydrothermal vent fields as they hopefully come out of the gloom as we move along the sea cliff here. What we're hoping to be seeing is, as Nicole mentioned earlier, is either colonies of tube worms, really a sort of an increased abundance of biology at these sites, and eventually the vents themselves, maybe chimneys 1 to 2 meters high with focused shimmering flows of hot water coming out into the sea water. But at the moment it really is just repeating this step-by-step shuffle. A good analogy is if you imagine yourself on a mountainside at night with a flashlight, and that's essentially what we're doing, is just using our map to work along the depth contour, searching for this, the hydrothermal vents. So just to orientate those of you who are watching on Nautilus Live, if you're watching the main quad view, you've got 4 views in your browser panel. You've got the top left is the view coming from Hercules. That's the ROV that's primarily working close to the sea cliff at the moment. On the top right, you've got the view of Hercules from Argus, our second ROV. Our second ROV that's just like the eye in the sky above Hercules as it explores along the cliff edge. Bottom left, you've got a view into the control room. You're literally looking over the shoulders of the ROV pilots as you can see the views on the main cameras that they see on the big monitors in front of them. And then in the bottom right panel, you should have a map overview of where we are in the world. Just to kind of zoom in on that map, if you kind of start at the coastline where Oregon meets California, and then we're going to just head straight out to sea for about 300 kilometers. That's our approximate location of the Nautilus at the moment. And then we have a cable going from the stern of the ship down to Argus, about 2.7 kilometers below us. And we're exploring on essentially the edge of a marine trench, a tectonic boundary between the Pacific and the Gorda tectonic plates. That's formed this kind of long linear rift valley-like feature. We're not really in the base of that valley. We're off on one of the cliffs that form the edge of that valley, about 300 meters off the bottom of the valley, looking for this hydrothermal vent system.
Nicole, we're just taking out a wrap real quick.
Copy that.
So Jessica, was that a wrap in the cable?
Yeah, we're just doing some tether management real quick.
Little pirouette?
Little pirouette while we got some standby time.
You see Argus view on the quad, then you can watch Herc do its little dance.
And then we have is the ship still moving, Alex?
Not anymore.
Okay.
Call it another step.
Yeah, just keep the ship moving. So basically, if you get like halfway through, then we'll just keep stepping.
Sounds good.
Because if we wait and the ship stops, then it has to get started again, and then it takes longer.
Bridge nav. Another step at 20 meters at 020.
Giving you a tug, coming up a little bit.
Okay.
So thank you to those of you who are posting questions for us on Nautilus Live. As we get the opportunity, we might bring a couple of those into the discussion. One I'm just looking at here is what new...
Josh, can we get, I'm sorry to interrupt, can we get a quick zoom on these white things? Are these like the start of
Some tube worm
Tube worms?
colonies?
Oh my gosh, yes, look at that.
There you go. Yeah, nice.
Ooh, good spot. Let me know when you're okay to zoom.
Yay. Okay.
Let's get rid of these experiments now.
All right, go ahead, video. Go ahead and zoom in a bit.
Yeah, we'll get some good
Nice.
Could you
screen
tilt
grabs
up
of
a bit,
this.
please?
Oh yeah.
Roger.
I'll come down a little bit. Maybe a little bit more tether.
Roger, thanks. Let me get you squared up here a bit.
Nice spot, Nicole.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hold that video for a sec.
Should we get the lasers on for a
Yes,
couple
if we
of
could,
these?
that'd be
Oh,
great.
yeah, go ahead.
Good eye.
I just saw the slightest little tiny white strands and thought, maybe. Good, I was beginning to worry.
Is that, what's that little guy? Is that in the mimic?
The little squat lobster
Is that a skull lobster?
on the,
Looks like
I think it's on the
an anemone of
the
some
It
sort.
looks
clump
like
of
an
tube
anemone.
worms. The one in the middle?
Oh no, the little pink
Oh,
guy.
the pink guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that looks like an anemone. Cool.
You want me to
I'll
look
give it-
around for some more worms? Is that
Yeah, if you can just take a peek to either side and see,
Roger?
because so this would be.
Do we want to drop a virtual marker here?
I know they didn't. They,
Or-
I think it would be worth.
This is the first sign of venting, right?
Yeah.
So
Looks like to
Looks like up there too.
yeah, up there and
Okay.
to the left too. Let's have a look at all of it while we're waiting.
Alex, if you could target, drop a target on where Herc is right now. We could call it. Do you want to say possible diffuse flow? It's the first signs of vents. I know we didn't agree to drop a marker where we saw this, but I think it's worth doing.
Going to be at the end of my leash pretty soon, but looks like it keeps on going up to the right corner.
Zoom out a bit, we can see a bigger
Yeah,
big
I like
fish
it.
there.
Let's just, yeah, let's do a mark for first tube worms.
Yeah, I'm at the end of my leash.
Do you want to keep the ship moving, or do you want to stop? Because we're pretty much coming into our spot right now. But
Yeah, let's keep moving because
Okay.
the goal is to mark the perimeter of all of
Sure.
this.
Let's do
Roger.
another step, Alex.
Got it.
So this is the
Fish
first
nest.
sign. After this, we should see some maybe slabs of seafloor that have been mineralized.
Yeah, one more step, please.
And then the chimneys, hopefully. Yeah, look at that. Go ahead, Darlene.
I'm going to come up just a little bit.
Yeah,
Just trying to give you as much tether as I could, but starting to break 10 meters.
Roger. Yeah, you're at 8.
My altitude's pretty high. I mean, I'm way off the cliff, so I'm just trying to keep the tether a little better.
Yeah, that's fair. It's in a lateral across this feature here.
Shimmery.
Just punching in past the stuff on the platform.
All right,
Is that
sounds
shimmer?
good. Something looks a little bit shimmery, yeah.
We just got an interesting observation on Nautilus Live. Somebody asking why all the tube worms are facing the same direction. Is that something we see very often?
There's a big comb.
That's comb over.
There we go. You you heard it first here.
Yeah, I'm like 40 meters off the seafloor, but only a 10-meter delta, so
Yeah.
plenty safe there.
I'm going to go down a bit more. I'll stop coming up on your tail.
So typically the ocean currents at this depth are very, very slight. But the one thing that we don't know about this site is obviously what the conditions are of the water that's venting from the rock, whether it's slow diffuse flow or whether there's sites of focused flow near here.
Let's do another step, Alex.
Got it. Same bearing?
Yep.
Bridge nav. One more step, please.
Are we going to try and pause around waypoint 4?